Good morning, everybody. This is John Scarborough. We've got our baby chicks in here today. These are going to be our meat birds. These are Cornish cross breed right here. We've got two different groups right now, and we're raising them a little bit different. I don't know if you can tell, there's a little bit of an oddball looking chick down in here. If you can see that real well. Looks a little bit different than everybody else, doesn't he? I don't know if it's a he or a she yet. When they're that young, it's hard to tell. That right there is a Muscovy duckling. We are trying something a little bit different here. We're actually wanting to raise some birds. We're wanting to raise these birds on pasture, the same as we normally do, but we usually raise them with a Joel Salatin style tractor, which gives you almost perfect protection, okay? But we're gonna try raising them a little bit different this time, and we may be messing up, and we're gonna let y'all ride along and watch throughout. We're gonna come out with several videos, so if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel so you can keep an eye out for those videos. But we're gonna have all of these different birds here, and we're gonna raise them in net wire. We're going to have a covering for them, but they can go out in and out of that covering as they please. They can get out into the sun. What it gives them a bigger, larger area, but it also gives you the danger of aerial predators. Okay, that's a concern that we have, but we're doing it like that because we're coming into hotter summer, and this is a little bit hotter than we like to raise birds. On pasture, especially these Cornish cross. Now, when you're raising other types of birds, more heritage breeds, things like that, they can handle the heat more. But these big birds that were bred specifically for meat, they just don't handle the heat as well, okay? So we're going to try to give them a better area, more spread out, a little bit cooler. You know, in the wintertime, you're actually fine to give them less square footage, just so that they can keep themselves warm, okay? You're still giving them the recommended square footage. We're actually giving them more than the recommended square footage when we're going to put them in the net. So to help with the aerial predators, a lot of people, they'll put a goose in with their ducks. No, I mean with their with whatever smaller bird they have to protect. It could be ducks, could be chickens, could be whatever. And so in this case, we're actually going to try a Muscovy duck. I heard one person say that they've tried it. I don't know if it's going to be great. What I do know is Muscovy ducks are protective, and they're big animals, and they're very hard to be attacked. What we did was we're raising several Muscovy ducks here. I would have tried a goose, but we didn't have a goose. We happened to be raising some Muscovy ducks the same time as we're doing this. So we selected the biggest duck. We're hoping that it's a male, because your female Muscovy ducks can fly if they want to, and they can also roost on things. They're an interesting duck, to be honest, but they're a really large duck. They grow to be close to the size of a goose, but they will outgrow these babies. And from my understanding, the way you want to do it is you only want to have one of them. This is all of my knowledge is based on what I've read about putting a goose in with them. So apparently they will protect your smaller birds from aerial predators, and well, from any predators that come in there. But really from aerial predators is the only one you have to worry about with that netting, because that netting is actually a little bit safer for ground protection than your Joel Salatin style deals, because nothing can even stick their head through. If they even stick their head through, like right here, if a baby bird sticks his head through there, or a skunk or something sticks their paw through there, they can grab and they can still kill something. Okay, we haven't had it happen yet. No, I say that, we actually have had one. We've had one happen, but that's all we've ever had. So it's pretty safe, but it can happen. But with the electric fence, that's electrified, so the birds never stick their heads through, and then the predator never comes back through here. So they're safer with all of that, but they're not safe from hawks and things like that. So that's what, in this case, that's what this Muscovy duckling is going to do. So from what I understand, you put the duckling in as a young baby, and you only put him in by himself. And like I said, this is experimental. I haven't heard of a lot of people doing this. They usually, like I said, they usually put in a goose, but we didn't have a goose, and we had these Muscovy ducks. So we put the biggest one in, and what you do is you put them in by themselves so that they will start to think that they're a baby chicken. So let me tell you what happens when you mix animals together, okay? And this is a good scenario with like sheep and goats. They'll do the same thing. If you put a goat into a sheep flock, that goat will bond on to the sheep. Now the sheep might not like them, but the goat will hang around, okay? And it's vice versa as well. If you have a bunch of goats and you put in one sheep, the sheep's gonna go over there and hang out with those goats, okay? But the moment you put them in to where there's a flock of sheep and a herd of goats, that they will separate themselves. Now over time they may begin to all bond together. The point is that animals want to stick to their breed, or to their species. Whatever they are, they want to stick to that primarily, okay? Now, like I said, as you have a farm and things begin to bond together and things, you can have relationships throughout. But for the most part, they want to stick together. So if you put another duckling in here with that duck, those two ducks are just going to bond together. They're not going to worry about these. So by having just one, they're going to want to protect their whole flock, because to them, they are part of that flock. I've also heard the same thing with donkeys. I don't know if that's true. I do know that we had donkeys as kids to protect our goats, and they are very protective, but when there was more than one donkey, it did seem to be the same. If y'all had another scenario or something different, if y'all had a different experience, let me know. I'd love to see some comments on that, because I don't know that that's definitely true with donkeys. That's just my own experience, what I've seen. But like I said, we're excited to see how this works. We're definitely excited to be raising the birds like this, because what this is going to do for us is allow us to only move the birds every 4 days rather than every single day, okay? Now, the downside is we're going to have to move that netting every day with that. Not every day, I'm sorry. But we're going to have to move the netting instead of moving one of these tractors like this. Because this is basically an open tractor that we're currently using to brood our chicks, which works okay when it's hot. But in the wintertime, you can't use this. This is just kind of something we're using right now. It's working pretty good, honestly. Better than I would have thought. Of course, we're under our shed right here. So it works, you know, that's really the only reason it's working. We've got these boards set up in the back. That helps when the sun starts to go down to shine over there. That'll help with that. But also, if it gets real hot, we turn this fan on and we got it slightly canted towards those boards, and that actually causes the air to circulate, because it hits the board right at the corner and then it circulates. So it actually circulates that air, and it works pretty good like that. But we do kind of, you know, you kind of have to go back and forth, turn your heat lamps on and then turn your fans on. It's not like the big chicken houses where everything's automatic. You know, you still have to be pretty manual, but it's not that bad. In a small operation like this, it's not bad at all. I mean, you do have to get up in the morning and in the evening, take care of it. But our goal is to make things simpler, to where basically we can raise more animals with just the two of us, me and Savannah. It's not that we don't want to hire employees. That's not it at all. It's that finding employees is very difficult, okay? And then even when you do find employees, it can be hard to keep employees around, because you either have bad employees that just aren't very good at their job and they don't really want to do it and they want to get paid a lot, or you have really, really good employees that they don't need to stay at the job the entire time, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how life goes. So what we do is we try to develop our systems to where we can handle as much as possible. So we want to get all of our chicken tractors to where one person can do it. We want to get all of our systems to where one or two people can do it tops. Basically, the way we want it is to where one of us can do it. Me or Savannah can do it. But then, you know, if we have both of us, it's definitely easy, because sometimes both of us aren't there. The reality is we have to spread ourselves out across everything, across the whole business. We have to spread ourselves across, you know, the entire farm and run the whole farm, manage everything. we've got to handle all of the books and all like that, but then we've also got the sales portion of the business, because we raise everything to finish and then we process them and sell all of this. So you've got to have the sales portion of that, and part of that is traveling. But then we've also got the delivery part of the business. We deliver everything. So every single part of the business goes through us. So, you know, you stretch yourself a little thin sometimes, but the idea is to get everything to where you can manage it. One person can pretty much handle each job. There's a few jobs that we can't, and it takes both of us. And every now and then we really have to have somebody else, but it's always nicer with somebody else. Anytime we've got somebody, if we can get somebody for a couple days to come out and help us, you know we're going to use them. But typically it's just me and her trying to figure out how to make it all work. So that's kind of the idea with the net wire, and that's the idea with this duckling right here, is we're going to have them all growing up in the net wire. And the idea is he's going to be getting fed he's getting all the feed he wants, and he's going to eat a lot of feed. Okay, and I'm hoping it's a he, like I said, because the males typically grow larger, and because they grow larger, they're less likely, or they're not going to be able to fly out of there. So what that means is he's going to utilize his feed better than any of the female ducks would. So that way we can process him and sell him once the group's done. Now, these ducks, they're not like the Pekin ducks, where the Pekin ducks mature in like 7 weeks, 7-8 weeks. That's kind of the same for these chickens. They usually mature in about 7-8 weeks. Now, typically on pasture, you can stretch that out to 10, even 12 weeks. And the reason is because by giving them other types of feed, not just throwing them in a house, but giving them access to other types of things other than grain, they grow slower. And the reason they grow slower is because they're spreading their diet out. But that's what makes them so healthy. They're so much healthier because, think about it, if they grow for 12 weeks, 14 weeks would be double, So if they grow for that much longer, they're putting that much more nutrients into their body, all throughout their body. And so that's kind of the idea, but it's not just that. It's also about having low stress birds too. Birds that actually are doing things that they want to do. But also the reason it takes them longer to grow is because they use some of those calories that they're eating. They use some of those calories once we get them out on pasture. You can't put them on pasture until they're done brooding. But once you get them on pasture, they use some of the calories to just get out and have fun, to get out and play and get in all that grass and do things that chickens like to do, and do things that keep chickens healthier. Now, as a result, we don't lose birds like the big industries do. And so that's good, but it's not all good for our pocketbook. It ends up being better for our pocketbook because we go through the whole marketing system and we do everything, but it's not all good. Okay, and that's the reason why the price is marked up a little bit. When you see a pastured bird, it's marked up a little bit because you're raising them almost twice as long. It takes longer to do it. So keep that in mind if you get ready to do it. But the point is that these ducks right here are not Pekin ducks. They are the Muscovy ducks. The Muscovy ducks take longer. That Muscovy duck's probably going to take 3 months to get all the way to a finish. So these right here will get completely finished out, okay? And then we'll probably have another month with him growing off, and then we'll end up getting him processed and selling them. For anybody that doesn't know, Muscovy duck meat is a little bit different than regular ducks. Some people love it and some people don't love it, okay? Because ducks are typically known to be more, people call them greasy, so they're a fattier animal. Personally, I love fattier ducks. Even a lot of the wild ducks are actually fattier naturally. I know, I love it. I love fatty meat, okay? But the Muscovy duck is actually a leaner duck meat, and they say it's all dark meat. I haven't tried that yet myself. I've never had a Muscovy duck, so I'm gonna be curious to see, but just keep that in mind if you do get ready to raise one yourself. Anyway, we are raising more Muscovy ducklings as well. We got about 15 of them. We got several things we're gonna go with this. Y'all have seen us raise ducks before in the past. Just for context, some of the animals we raise, we don't raise all of them for meat. Some animals we raise just for resale for other people. You know, like if we're raising egg animals, so animals specifically for eggs rather than for meat, a lot of times we'll sell those birds as mature birds ready to start laying eggs. So there's several different ways to make income on your farm or on a homestead, you know. So that's kind of part of what we do, and that's why you'll see us go through different types of animals like that. Some of it's experimental, some of it's more based on knowledge from knowledge I've had in the past, and all of it, you know, about 90% of it ends up good. Probably about 95% of it ends up good. But, you know, some of the experiments don't end up as profitable as we'd like them, but that's why we'll do small batches, like you saw us with a batch of 10 ducks in the past. Very small batch, you know, but that was definitely more experimental. Will we do it again? Yes, I think we will, but it will be a little bit different than it was before. But you don't want to experiment with large groups. You kind of want to basically have your idea. Now, you can do small experiments like we're doing here, but, you know, you kind of want to have a couple different things set up. But that's also why our dogs are also guardian dogs that are going to be given access to the outside of the pen. They're going to help protect us as well. They're going to help keep all of these birds safe from the outside. So hopefully all of this will work out well, guys. Y'all stay tuned for more. We're definitely going to have more on this subject. We're going to have more on raising these birds together. We're going to have more on showing how this Muscovy duck protects these animals. And the reason I'm excited about this is because Muscovy ducks are not as loud and obnoxious as geese are. Geese are very loud and obnoxious, and I personally hate hearing them all the time. I don't mind hearing them sometimes, but just all the time I don't like hearing it. But unfortunately, that loud, obnoxious sound may be partially what helps protect these birds. So we're going to see, but I'm excited about it. I'm really hoping that he's going to help protect all of these, but we're also going to see how well all of it works together, how well he raises with these other birds. I think he's going to do just fine. But we're also going to show y'all more on the other Muscovy ducks. I'm not going to show them in this video, but we're going to have more on those ducklings, and we're going to watch them raise off there. Like I said, it's going to be about a 3-month period. We're going to see how all that goes. We're going to go start to finish, but we've got more on those as well, because we're wanting to raise those Muscovy ducks for meat, some of them. But then some of them we actually want to keep and try putting them on the pond. Whether or not we can go free range or not, y'all saw us experiment with the free range thing. Totally free range last time. Didn't work out great, honestly. And I think most of it's just because they all end up coming back to my shop and stuff like that. They tend to be somewhat social. So I don't know for sure why that is. I don't know if we can change it completely. I'm hoping that the Muscovies will work better, because Muscovy ducks are more wild naturally than the khaki Campbells were. Khaki Campbells ended up being somewhat social. Not entirely. Ducks are not, most ducks are not super social, but they were more social. They didn't want you to pet them, they just wanted to be near you. So we're going to see how that goes. Like I said, we're going to do several different tests. It's a small group. We've only got 15 ducks, but we've basically got 3 different tests that are going with these ducks. So y'all stay tuned for all of that. We're going to have lots more to come on that, and definitely more to come on this. We got lots of different types of birds. We've also got pigs here on the farm we're raising, and we've got some really cool stuff coming with that. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, hit the bell. That's the only way you'll see all the videos.